There's been a lot of noise about NVIDIA and Groq this week, and depending on where you got this news from, you might have heard about two different stories about the following. One has to be that NVIDIA has acquired Groq. First of all, this is not the Groq you're thinking about, GROK. That's something owned by Elon, and honestly, no one wants that. The other is GROQ, an inference company specifically built to answer at the user side. And to be very honest, both of the news are very much credible, and this is what makes the story so much more interesting. NVIDIA joining big tech spree to license Groq technology hires executives. As the title suggests, NVIDIA has, well, trying to get into Groq's technology and also hiring the executives. NVIDIA has agreed to license chip technology from startup Groq and hire away its CEO. Right from the start, you can see NVIDIA is going all out and they want to get everything that Groq has. The brains, the people who implement it, the people who run it, they don't want to leave any crumbs behind. The deal follows a familiar pattern in the recent year where the world's biggest tech firms pay large sums in deals with promising startups to take their technology and talent but stop short of formally acquiring the target. Now, this has been a very, how do I say it? This has been a very recurring pattern for the past few years in the tech space. Rather than acquiring the startup, now they directly acquire or they quote unquote license the technology, the patent, or let's say the thing that's been making waves in the industry. The biggest example right now is NVIDIA trying to get Groq and its proprietary SRAM, low latency memory chips. Groq specializes in what is known as inference, where artificial intelligence models have been trained in response to requests from users. What this basically means is if I were to write a prompt to ChatGPT, let's say DeepSeek or even Gemini, rather than using the GPU on hand, they utilize their own low latency model. They do not use high bandwidth memory. They have their own proprietary model, which makes their own inference so much faster. But the only downside being here is it cannot perform well for bigger models. So ChatGPT 1 trillion model will not work. But again, smaller models are at huge advantage. They can literally exploit this. Groq did not disclose the financial details of the deal. Yeah, but we do know that it's a 20 billion in cash deal. Neither NVIDIA, neither Groq has been acknowledging this fact. Or matter of fact, no one has been acknowledging it. It's only out there and people want to believe it. Let's just say we know about it, but there's no formal agreement so far. The deal have faced scrutiny by regulators, though none have been unwound. Again, regulators, they always do all this bullshit. They try to stop a lot of the deals that's going to happen, but then again, big tech companies, they do not stop. And given how Nvidia is moving these days, it's the biggest company right now. I don't think so there's any stopping to Nvidia. Now, in similar recent deals, Microsoft top AI executive came through a $650 million deal with a startup that was billed as a licensing fee. Yeah, exactly what I was talking about. Rather than acquiring the startup itself, they acquire the license to the startup, which makes it even harder for the startups to sustain, because the only advantage they had over the companies is now taken from them. It has been licensed out, and if you think about it, why would you not give it to the big tech companies? They offer you such an hefty sum for it, and they have better infrastructure. They will always have better infrastructure compared to a puny little startup. And same goes for Meta. It invested 50 billion in to hire Scale AI CEO. So rather than getting the startup, they hired the CEO itself. Amazon hired away the founders of Adept AI, and again, you see the pattern is recurring. They do not want to hire. They do not want to acquire the startup because that's too much. You don't want a whole as company on as a burden to yourself. You just want the license. You just want to use the proprietary techniques to get things done. Groq more than doubled its evaluation to 6.9 billion from 2.8 billion in August last year, following a $750 million funding round in September. That's a lot of money, to be very honest. From 2.8 billion to 6.9 billion is almost three times. It's almost three times. Yeah, exactly. It's almost three times the money. Groq is one of a number of upstarts that do not use external high bandwidth memory chips. Now, if you do not know about it, high bandwidth memory chips are what make things slower because they rely on, let's just say, they rely on something called GPUs, and apparently GPUs are now slower. They are not faster as compared to the inference LPUs that are created by these companies, these startups, freeing them from the memory crunch affecting the global chip industry. The approach, which uses a form of on-chip memory called SRAM. See, that's what I've been talking about. They have their own proprietary model. They can make things a lot faster. Groq's primary rival in the approach is Cerebral Systems, which plans to go public as soon as next year. Groq and Cerebus have signed large deals in the Middle East. So we can see the future of the inference engines are going to be really good. But should we be concerned about the NVIDIA's deal? I don't think so. This is not really something very concerning in terms of AI. But the biggest concern right now is NVIDIA acquiring it. NVIDIA has so much resources on its hand that it's pretty much Thanos at this point. It can do whatever it wants. So if they were to go into the inference business and get rid of LLMs altogether, and by getting rid of LLMs, I mean not creating one and just getting into the inference, because there's so many LLMs available right now, it would be stupid to get into the LLM business. They just want to get into the inference. And to be very honest, if they can get into the inference market and create a monopoly on the inference market itself, believe me, they will be unstoppable. So this has to be a slight concern on our side, not just our side, the companies as well. There will be no other options for the companies to look into. So NVIDIA's Yuan spent much of its biggest keynote speech of 2025 arguing that NVIDIA would be able to maintain its lead as AI market shift from training to inference. Exactly. So yeah, NVIDIA has been looking to shift from training to inference for a long time in 2025, which makes sense because not everybody is going to train a GPU, an LLM model. The normal person only cares about the inference, right? If you put in the prompt, you get the answer, that's it. That's all I care about. I don't want to train models, very specific models, to get the things done, right? And yeah, I have been working on a project. I did work on a project, I would say, about 4 months ago, in which we use the inference engine. And to be very honest, it makes things so much easier. Rather than training a custom model, we just use specific JSON formats and we use the inference API to get the answers for ourselves. This makes it so much easier for us as a consumer. So far, I think this is looking okay for the consumer. But I think if this turns out to be a monopoly, things can get bad. And as you know, things are not looking good so far because AI has been making news for the spike in DRAMs as well as GPUs. So we'll have to look out.